Is this mic on? Ugh, I'm so bad with fucking technology.
Mommy, you said the F word.
Sorry, babe. Welcome to Mommy, You Said the F Word. I'm your host, Sarah Goldsboro. I've experienced firsthand the messy, magical, and sometimes maddening world of motherhood. We'll share some laughs and shed some tears as I dive deep into the highs and lows of life, confront loss, chat about career, fitness, creating a life you love, finding yourself again after kids, and who the fuck knows what else. This is a space where authenticity reigns supreme. So get ready to strip away the BS and get candid as fuck. No, my episode that I'm editing today, I'm going to put it up today or tomorrow. I'm literally in bed recording because I was on my period and I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Good.
I was like,
But you've talking about that would be like a vision. It's literally from my bedroom. You're like, babe, come on and talk.
Get in here.
Get in here, honey.
Okay, now you can leave.
Okay, bye. Are we close enough, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as we're in the middle of the... Yeah, this is good. Okay. Let's just kind of keep that like that. All right. Okay, guys, we are back. And I have this hoe with me again.
Hi.
She
I can't believe I was invited back after that.
Woo! She just,
showed up at the door.
Barges on in. I'm like, okay, we can record another episode. It's fine.
I'm here.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Last time Allyson was here, we were doing our very first episode of our Fit as Fuck series, and this is episode 2. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I definitely encourage you to go back and listen to it. I give you a little intro on Allyson, what her background is with fitness, and also we gave you a little intro to all things fitness, postpartum, pelvic floor, motherhood, why it's important. So last week you put up some polls on your Instagram.
I did.
To kind of find out after our last Fit as Fuck episode what people were
most interested in, right? So I want to talk about what you guys want to hear about the most.
Yeah, so what she kind of narrowed it down to, which I'm really excited about because this is something that I've been doing over the last couple years and has really helped me stay consistent with eating and working out, is prepping and planning. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And I'm going to let you kind of start off the conversation. What is prepping and planning when it comes to fitness?
Right. So this is sort of like the cornerstone, I think, for all of health and fitness. Mm-hmm. We are looking for this forward thinking. That doesn't just mean today and tomorrow. That just means who do you want to be in the future?
Yeah.
And how are you going to get there? And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It's a silly cliche
I love
saying,
that, though.
But,
that's so true.
But it is the pinnacle of all of it, because in motherhood, it's messy.
Mm-hmm.
It's unpredictable sometimes. So what does that look like? The prepping, whether it's prepping your food, whether it's prepping your workout outfit the morning before, whether it's prepping your gym space before and setting out what you're going to need. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Planning when, where, how, letting other people know in your family when you're going to be doing these things. It's just so important. You want change. Mm-hmm. How are you going to make that change? You can't just lay in your bed and say, I want this to happen, and magically you're going to look different, you're going to feel different, you're going to have the energy to work out.
You have to do things differently.
You have to do things differently. And what does that look like? So I took a lot of polls on each aspect of prepping and planning, and kind of what interests you guys the most? Where are you struggling the most in your prepping and planning? And what does that even look like on a daily basis?
Because I think that is generally the issue, and what people struggle with the most is finding the time to plan, to prep, whether it's meals or prepping, like you said, your workout, situation, how does that look? Is it in your home? If it's in your home, what equipment are you using? Are you planning your actual workout that you're going to be doing? You have to have, like we talked about on last episode, kind of your weekly split, but knowing which days you're doing what workout. I love what you said, like when you don't fail to plan.
You plan to fail. I think like as moms, I just want to say, some people are like, I'm not good at it. I don't know how to do it.
None of us are.
You are prepping and planning though all day long. We are making 35,000 decisions every single day. You have planned who's going to pick up your kid, what time they get out of school, when the doctor's appointments are. You know around what time is bed, bath, shower. Like all these things. It's just as for ourselves, we don't do it because we always come last.
Yeah.
So it's about thinking about those things for yourself.
Yeah.
So it's just adding another 1,000 decisions. It's no big deal.
I mean, no big deal. We'll just fit it in somehow. But no, something that I've shared, you've shared on social media is kind of just the little like breakdowns of like what that planning could look like. I've shared on my Instagram kind of like what my weekly split looks like for working out, but like I'm just in my notes in my phone, I just make like a little checklist, like Monday, abs and core, Tuesday, just kind of whatever that looks like for you, whether you do it, write it down in a journal or write it in your notes, put it on your calendar, however you are best organized. I feel like that's fine, but it's just like having it to where you can go back and look at it. And I feel like that's definitely important when prepping and planning your grocery lists and all of that. So if you want to kind of, I guess, jump into that. So like, what would be your first thing with prepping and planning? Like in your mind for the, like, let's say it's Sunday and we are planning for this week.
Absolutely.
What's your first step?
I think nutrition is a hard one, and it's, working out is obviously what I do. I'm a personal trainer, but that's a very small portion of the health lifestyle, the health and fitness lifestyle. The nutrition is a huge part. Yeah. Especially as a mom when you're running around and you don't have the time and the snacks are easy and you wake up and the next thing you know, it's 1:00 and you haven't eaten. I think we mentioned this a little bit in the last podcast. So you want to think about, it's Sunday. When are you grocery shopping? Are you grocery shopping? Are you doing an Instacart order? Are you doing a pickup order? Do you do multiple stores? It doesn't matter what the answer is, but that needs to be planned ahead of time. Yeah. And if you are using some type of online app, I do that, which is really easy because it keeps a memory of what you've already ordered.
Yeah, I mean, with Instacart, it'll say, like,
your most frequent items or things like that.
Check it off.
And even if you're not using Instacart, you can open it up when you're in the grocery store to see your most frequent items. For sure. But that also requires you to plan the meals. You need the ingredients. Right? People have been using ChatGPT for that, which is amazing. Like, these are the ingredients I want to use. Give me the meals.
I love that. I've actually never done that, but I love ChatGPT for so many different things. I'm definitely going to do that.
Put it right in. So when are you, it comes to, you have to write the list in your phone or however, and then you have to get it, right? And so what day does that happen? You cannot just willy-nilly decide because the week's going to start and you need to have the food. So you have to be specific with your ingredients, with your recipes. A big question that people had was, what am I buying? And I cannot be in your house and I cannot tell you exactly what to eat or what your kids are picky about or what they're not or what you like or what your dietary restrictions are. However, protein is huge, right? So if you're used to buying a package of chicken breasts for this dinner that you're going to make for your family, I would suggest buying 2 packages of chicken breasts. Because you need to be eating more protein because your goals are hopefully to gain more muscle and to lose weight. And to gain more muscle, you need protein. And to lose weight, you need to eat less and protein keeps you full. So that's where that is. It's always more protein and a lot of veggies and a lot of fiber. And fiber includes high fiber breads, berries, a lot of fruit, apples, things like that. Another really good hint is then you have the groceries, right? You have them in your car or they're delivered at your front door. Now what do you do? Again, this is where I'm constantly thinking of the prepping and planning. So I already know what I'm going to make because I ordered the ingredients and they're here. Right. Does this meal that I'm having on Tuesday, it's now Sunday, I have the groceries, does this meal require me to chop up the pepper?
Okay.
Well, maybe I'm going to do it right now. That's what I do. Your future forward thinking, your future self will thank you because you've already chopped the peppers and onions.
Right.
And they're in a bag. You can put a paper towel around it to keep it fresh. And it's in there. So when you go to make it, it's already ready. You're already putting the groceries away. I just wash everything. Wash your fruit then. Make it easy for yourself,
so
right?
You're kind of prepping for the prep.
You're prepping for the prep. And it might seem like you're going to have to do it anyway. So
right.
You highly have to do what works for you. If you got the groceries delivered and you have a doctor's appointment that you have to leave for in 20 minutes and you're just going to put the cold stuff away and run out the door, that's okay. But generally, I think it's important to allow yourself the space and time to put the groceries away thoughtfully. It makes you think about what you have and chop it and have it and wash it. And that way, the fruits and veggies and all the healthy things are there ready to go.
No, I love that.
That's a pre-prep, right? We can actually talk about the cooking. Does your cooking happen on Sunday? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be different for everyone
Exactly.
depending on your work schedule, your family's schedule. I mean, everybody's different, but it doesn't matter what day it is. It's just pick that day.
Yeah, and your week doesn't have to necessarily start on Monday either. You know, it's just about having food. I tell my clients, I think I might have said this, if you're having a workout on a Monday and morning and you don't know what you're eating for lunch, like that's not acceptable. That's not going to get you where you want to be. You're wondering why your body hasn't changed, your mindset hasn't changed, your lack of energy, you're not fueling with the right things. You need to have that ready. And that's really the only way to go, or you're going to wind up snacking or you're going to wind up ordering DoorDash.
Absolutely.
And that's what's going to happen. So like I get my groceries on Friday. Why? Because that's what works for my family. Because I actually meal prep on Saturdays. So if I don't have it on Fridays, how am I going to... That just works for me.
Yeah.
I like to prep on Saturday mornings. People have seen me on my Instagram. It's like 7 in the morning and I'm prepping on a Saturday morning. Why do I do that? Personally, I want it out of the way and I can enjoy my family the rest of the weekend.
I love that. And I have actually tried to do that more, do things like earlier, kind of where it's like that dead time where like nothing's really going
Right.
on.
We
like
don't have sports at 7. You
Yeah.
might have them at 8:30.
But like the kids are either sleeping or they're like, you know, watching TV
right.
or playing video games, and it's like you have that little bit of wiggle room to like get some things done at your house. Right. I am a big like Instacart person for the simple fact that like you can kind of do double duty. Like I like to order my groceries early in the morning, usually either on like I would say a Saturday or a Sunday morning is when I normally do it. But I like to know that my groceries are like on their way, and I can be doing other things. I can take Cam to his basketball game. And you can schedule it for, you know, to arrive whatever time you want, or I can be, you know, just catching up on things around the house. But it's like it just saves you time, and then you're
doing the other 35,000 things that we said we had to do. The shopping part of it takes it out of it. Some people don't like it. Some people want to do their own.
And that's fine.
You know, just find what works
for you. But for me, like you said, sometimes it is about like, you know, finding the time. And for me, that's just like a no-brainer. I'm like, I can be doing 100 other things.
Right.
I'd rather not have to, you know, take Cam with me to the grocery store for an hour on a Saturday morning, or I don't want to spend my days off from work spending an hour at the grocery store. So for me that just works, but that definitely like keeps me on track and having the things that I need around the house, food wise.
And that includes snacks, like everything you're going to eat for that week. If you're making a protein muffin or energy bites or things like that, that's going to be your snack for the week. That needs to be included in your grocery order. That needs to be made and prepped, and that way you know what you're snacking on and you're not going for the Oreos.
And what I like to do that too. I like to kind of sit down, like whenever I have time throughout the week, and start like making my grocery list. And I do kind of break it up into like snacks, dinners, breakfast, like kind of break it down. And then when, you know, on the day that it's time for me to make my Instacart order, I kind of already, and just like you, I kind of repeat a lot of the same things from week to week. So it's not like that hard when I go to Instacart, like things are already, you know, do you want to order again? It's like, yes, please. Like
I could spend a whole episode on that, but the boring and the repetitive and eating similar things because you know how much calories are in it or you know how much protein is in it, and your body is used to that type of food and metabolically, and we could go into it, but we're not on this episode. It makes sense. Like you don't always have to have these new fancy meals and ingredients.
No.
Simple And whole foods is really where it's at. You don't need anything crazy, repeating the same. I mean, it's the same proteins, beef, chicken, turkey, dairy, and things like that.
Yeah, let's get into some, since people, I'm assuming you're writing down some notes while you're listening to this, or maybe just making some mental notes. But, what would you say in your mind are, just some simple, easy, good meals and snacks? Let's maybe do 2 snacks, 2 breakfasts, 2 lunch, 2 dinner ideas.
Great. I'm gonna first start off by saying I don't like the kitchen and I don't like to cook, and I like cooking. Really simple.
Yeah,
and
same.
This is just what works for me and my family. But let's just start. So some breakfasts is eggs. Eggs are always a good idea. Whether you are hard boiling eggs because on your prep day, and that's just the easiest for you.
That would probably be the easiest to grab.
That would be the easiest to grab.
Exactly.
If you have the time and you're making scrambled eggs in the morning, that's excellent. I also used to make, when I was working my 10-hour shifts as a dental hygienist, I would make the egg bites right in the muffin tins. I'd pop 2 out, put them in a paper bowl, put them in the microwave. My first patient was at 7. I was at work at 6:30, so I needed something quick. And you can mix any veggies, cheese, anything like that right in there. And again, you have hot, fresh eggs, just like the ones they have at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, right there ready for you. Another option, if you're not an egg eater, oatmeal is always a good idea, or yogurt or cottage cheese. And then when you're putting things in that, you can put a scoop of protein right into your yogurt. You won't even taste if you just do a plain vanilla or something, or pick a flavor you like. I would always add lots of berries to breakfast. That's really good to start your day with a lot of fiber. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You want to front load protein. There's so much controversy as to how much protein for your breakfast. This is a large range because it depends your goals, but I would say anywhere between 30 and 50 grams of protein for breakfast.
Which is a lot.
That is a lot. So we're not I've said this a million times, 2 eggs is not a breakfast, right? You need at least 3 or 4 eggs, and then you also need other ways to get protein. High protein grains. I use collagen in my coffee in the morning. My scoop of collagen has 20 grams of protein. So that ups my breakfast tremendously, and we don't need to go into the benefits of collagen right now. Maybe we could have a whole episode on supplements.
Yeah.
That would be cool. So that's breakfast. Lunches, I always prep my lunches, and I usually do some type of carb. Sometimes if I'm on a low carb cycle, which we are not getting into either, I'll do cauliflower rice, but you can do any type of rice, potato, and that's easy to boil rice and just put in containers.
And lunches could be leftovers from your dinners. So if you're prepping for your dinners, you can plan to make extra to take for your lunches. So when you're actually prepping your meals, you don't have to make all these different things. You can make all the same thing and say, okay, this is going to be 2 nights dinners and 2 lunches for the week.
It's perfect. You're looking for a protein, a veggie, and a carb generally. That's what you're doing. And you want to have the most protein, the medium vegetables, and then the smaller amount carbs, typically. Again, you want to have between 30 and 50 grams of protein at your lunch. That's very hard to achieve. If you're ordering a salad or you're prepping a salad, you buy bag salad, great. You put some rotisserie chicken, that's a great option. That's another lunch option.
I'm big on rotisserie chicken because it's already, if I don't have to even make the chicken, even better.
Even better. And it's right there and ready for you. So that's a great lunch option. Dinners, again, protein, veggie, and carb. Even if you're having meatballs and spaghetti, you're going to have 2 or 3 meatballs. Wrong. You're going to have 4 or 5 or 6 meatballs and a smaller portion of carbs. I would love to have a veggie in there also, depending what your day looked like. But again, you're looking for 30 to 50 grams of protein.
And I've even over the last couple years, I've been substituting I wouldn't say I eat pasta all that often, but when I do, even when I make it for Cam, I've been getting protein pasta for a long time.
Everything is protein. If you want granola in your yogurt or whatever, your parfait, there's high protein granola.
Yes.
There's high protein breads. You just got to kind of open your eyes when you're looking at the shelves and kind of see what there is. But there is a lot of high protein options these days. Pastas, and just adding things like chickpeas, edamame, hard-boiled egg, you can add to bowls or salads. I'm constantly thinking about how I can add more protein, even if I'm at a restaurant and I'll add more chicken to the salad or extra something.
I love a motherfucking bowl.
Yeah, get yourself a bowl, and like they're only going to put in a certain amount of protein, and it might be a little bit extra for extra protein. But in my opinion, if you want your goals, like that's what it is. That's what you have to.
Most restaurants, I feel like, have healthier options now, but like you, as knowing what you need for your goals, you can always say like, just add
chicken,
chicken, shrimp, whatever. Right. So I feel like restaurants are pretty good now about like having those options available for you.
One more thing, I mean, we can also continue in the nutrition, but I don't want to be remiss, it's on my notes, is to talk about water, because that's a huge part of nutrition. And the planning part of the water is how much water do you need to drink in a day, how many ounces are you going for, and how are you going to get there by the end of the day. It's all about forward thinking. So I know we have our Stanley, our Hydro Jug, I know I need to get through 2 of those a day. I usually recommend about 80 ounces of water a day. So if I need to get through 2 of them, then the first one needs to be done by about midday. If it's not, then I'm not going to get through the second one. Again, it's all part of the plan. It becomes routine and habit over time, but it's just equally as important to plan something as simple as water.
I drink water constantly, but like I know so many people who like hate drinking water. So I always say like just add like an electrolyte packet, and it tastes kind of just like you're drinking like, you know, like a flavored water or like a Crystal Light for my mom who drinks Crystal Light constantly. But like some people really just, they don't, I guess they get bored with drinking water. So add a freaking flavor packet.
Yep, add an one of my water bottles is plain water, and one of mine always has electrolytes in it because I do a lot of activity, a lot of sweating. And that's great. I would always make sure it's probably low in sugar, sugar-free.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be bathing your teeth either in sugar all day. But that's great. All of this prepping and planning can get overwhelming, so pick one thing. In the next week, I'm going to just plan my breakfasts. And I'm going to plan those better, and that's going to look better for me in the coming weeks. And then it'll become really good habit, and you won't even have to think about prepping and planning your breakfasts, and then maybe you can add breakfast and snacks. So do it slow. We're talking about everything in the prepping and planning world today, but if you're not anywhere close to that, it doesn't matter. Like you're in the newborn state, wherever you are in your life, you can prep and plan something.
Right, absolutely. And also like having things on hand, and like you said, chopping things up and having them readily available, that is somewhat prepping and plan. You don't have to necessarily have every single one of your breakfasts, lunches, and dinners in separate containers, like ready. Like I tend to prep my lunches because I take them to work with me. Sometimes I do like prep dinners and put them in containers, but I generally only put like my lunches in containers because those are what are leaving the house. But I know like I have my breakfast, I like oatmeal or eggs, like you said. So like I know I have those things like
you have it in the house
ready to go, and I know how much, you know,
you've gotten the amount of dozen eggs you need for the week.
And I have my fruits and, you know, my things to go on my yogurts. I have my yogurts. And then we know what we're making for dinner. We don't necessarily put them in containers, but we have it, you know, ready, kind of prepped
and
to go.
And it really varies what your life looks like. If your husband works shift work, maybe your dinners are in containers, and that's easy for him to go.
Right.
I, again, prepped my breakfasts were prepped, and my lunches were prepped because I was at work for 10 hours, so I needed all of that. Now I don't prep breakfasts. I know what we're having, exactly what you said. I make sure I have enough eggs in the house, and we have the protein waffles that I want, and the berries. So I'm fully making full breakfast
so you can every just easily morning, pull it.
Because that's where I am at the stage in my life.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it really will look different for everyone, which is why I think it's important to have a coach if if that's kind of the route you're going, because they can talk to you about like what is realistic for you in the stage of your life that you are right now, because you can always do something. But if you're just doing nothing, again, you're preparing yourself to fail because you haven't really put any, real thought into how your week is going to look. It's just going to look the same as it did last week, and you're not going to make any forward progress.
And like today for dinners, we have something in the crock pot because we're both home. But I love things like that, because again, it's like kind of the crock pot, it's cooking all day long.
Right.
You don't even have to really, you just really just have to prep it.
Right.
And you throw it in,
Exactly.
and it's made for you. But, you know, come this afternoon, evening, it's already done. There's going to be leftovers.
The second you said, this is, again, I know that my brain does not work as everybody else's. I'm trying to give you a little taste of what my brain thinks. The second she said crock pot, I was like, I hope she doubled that, right? Because I'm like, that's perfect. Whatever, that's lunch tomorrow. That's dinner for 2 nights, right? So I'm constantly thinking about more and more as far as how can I make this last, because I don't want to be in the we don't have time.
And simple, because like I would rather
throw it in.
throw a bunch of ingredients, and I mean, and I say I didn't do it, Larry did it.
Our personal chef did.
But he, you know, chopped up all the vegetables. He's making a beef stew. And he also, I'm so proud of him because he's been listening. He replaces all of the like broth now with bone broth, which again, you know, you're trying to find ways to up the protein.
Right.
Bone broth automatically ups your protein. If you replace that with your regular beef broth with bone broth or water, it's automatically like an extra like 10 to 20 grams of protein.
Yeah. And and you're going to stay fuller, you're going to snack less. So there's always like little ways, exactly. Bone broth, this was another awesome example of, again, and if you don't plan to buy the bone broth, then you don't have it when you're making your rice or your chili or your stew or your couscous. You don't have it.
And I sneak that into, like, when I make, like, noodles or whatever for Cam, I make it with bone broth because it absorbs it. Because, you know, kids love to
not eat protein.
He's on this, like, not wanting to eat meat kick. He goes through this. I don't know. But, you know, you have to find ways to sneak the protein in there. So,
exactly.
Okay, so what would you say are, like, a couple, like, maybe 2 dinners that you have on repeat?
2 dinners that we have on repeat. We do a lot of like I like sheet pan meals. Again, I'm really simple. I like just roasting some veggies and some salmon and calling it a day. And like I'll put maybe some barbecue sauce on the salmon in the last couple minutes of cooking it.
But I mean, like, how easy is that? Like, I mean,
so I had this, right? So I knew I wanted to have salmon, so I ordered I ordered like 3 fillets. Because we'll eat like a fillet and a half. If my kids are eating it, they normally will. I'll get 4 or 5. So and I'll double batch it, and then we'll have it for a couple days. Rotisserie chicken's a good one. I like meatballs a lot. That's easy. Again, this is like sounds simple and boring and easy, and you know you can make it as fancy as you want. Chili is like a staple for us.
We eat tons of chili in the
winter, and fall. So that's great. Adding beans, again, constantly adding protein, right? And the meat, and I'll double batch that also. And you can take it to work for lunch. Heat it up in the microwave. I eat lunch at home. Pull it right out, ready to go.
That's definitely a staple for us too. I also like to make like a healthy chicken rice. Cam calls it. It's basically like a healthier version of like chicken fried rice, but he actually really likes it. So that's why I make that a lot. But you can make like, if you have like a wok pan, it's so easy to make. I literally just get like 2 chicken breasts, or sometimes I'll even get like the packages of chicken that are like already like the tenders or like put your chicken in, and I always just use like a little olive oil in the pan. I season the chicken really good, and then you take that off, and then you put your do your onions, and then you actually put some eggs in.
Yes,
because that's, you know, chicken fried rice has eggs in it.
Protein.
And then it calls for vegetables. I literally just get like the microwavable bags of frozen vegetables. I thaw it out a little bit in the microwave, dump it in, stir it all up, and then to make it even lazier, because the rice needs to be like a little hard. So I actually just get like the little cups of rice, and I put that in, and then kind of cook everything up, put the chicken back in, put a little soy sauce. Like, it is so good. And I don't know, like, the nutrition value, but like the recipe I got it from, it's very high in protein. It has fiber. It has, you know, you can.
I mean, you have your protein.
You have all
your
of it,
carbs, and you have your veggies.
But it's so easy. Cam loves it, so it's kid friendly, and then like it's easy to just like package it up to take to work. It's just like quick and easy. So that's definitely one that we have on repeat, and that's probably like the most cooking I do. I do a lot of salmon too. Yeah. Just baking that in the oven. We get the magic salmon seasoning. I feel like with not getting bored with your food, it's really like if you can like season your food good, like then you don't need like the sauces and the butter as much. But like seasoning I feel like is key, especially when you're eating healthier. Like making sure it just like tastes good.
Exactly.
And keeps you from getting bored with it. So, okay, so do you feel like we covered pretty much everything you want to cover as far as nutrition goes?
Yeah.
With prepping and planning?
Yeah, and obviously you guys can message us anytime for more questions.
Yeah, I think with food, it just comes down to like finding the time, like we said, to actually either make your, you know, your grocery list, making the time to either go to the grocery store. I love Instacart because if the laziest way is the way that I'm gonna pick.
That's how I
And it's not lazy. I mean, it
also depends where would I like to go and touch all my produce and look at it and
you like to squeeze it.
Yeah, I like to squeeze it and touch it. I would, but like at this point in my life and where my schedule is, like I just don't find it realistic.
And when you have
I'm doing
kids at home,
100 million other things. When I come back from vacation, like I am in the airport at the location, putting in my Instacart order. So when I get home, it's there. That is the prep. That is the plan. So I do love me some Instacart, but
yeah, and I mean there's other ones too. There's actually DoorDash I think has meal delivery now. There's, you know, Amazon Fresh. There's all different ones, whichever one. But the point of it is that you can have your food delivered and you can be doing other things. Exactly. So it's not an excuse to be like, I don't have time to go to the grocery store. You can have time to, you know, plug it into your app and somebody can do the shopping and delivery for you while you're at work, while you're doing doing things with your kids. But I feel like, you know, once you get in the habit of doing it, it's such a time saver and I love it so much. And then we gave you some good, like, simple food ideas. So, if you don't have anything else to add to that, why don't we jump into, like, the prepping and planning when it comes to workouts?
Yes. So, I think you have to have a plan to work out.
Yes.
You know, walking into a gym without a plan.
Which we kind of got into a little bit in the last episode with, knowing, kind of having a plan ahead of time what your workouts are going to look like.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily need to have a piece of paper with exactly what you're going to do. Maybe it does mean that, but it just means, like, you know what, like, is it a cardio day? Are you doing an upper body? Are you doing a lower body? What is the day looking like for you? Is it a rest day?
Not just walking into the gym and being like, I used to go to the gym and I would be like, okay, I'm going to do the treadmill for a half hour and then I'm gonna wander around and do some machines. Right. Like
we are way past that in the space that we're in, which is amazing. It's, you know, 2025 and we have the ability and the internet for us to really help us and or coaches or however you want to do it. So you need to have a plan as far as how many days a week you're working out that particular week, what your week looks like, and when you're going to get them done. And so similarly to when you're planning on having your groceries delivered, you need to plan when you're going to have your workouts. And if it's at home or if it's at the gym, at what time, like be specific. It's an appointment. You wouldn't miss dropping your kid off at school. You wouldn't not take them to the doctor if they were sick. To me, this is that important. It is that important. And it doesn't matter if it's 5 days a week, 6 days a week, or 2. It has to be something, and it has to be something then different than you're already doing. So that means sitting with your calendar or however you do it, whether it's a paper calendar, whether it's Google Calendar, Apple, whatever it is, and physically putting them in and not just writing like workout. It's writing it's putting it in at the correct time slot, and it's putting it in, 20-minute walk or 20-minute walk plus 10-minute core. Whatever it is, it needs to be in there. And I really recommend inviting your spouse or inviting an accountability partner, your coach, anyone to that, so that someone can make sure you're doing it. You feel like you're accountable. Like you've asked someone else to help you be accountable. You've asked someone else to watch the kids at that time. So to me, it's that important as any other appointment, because I mean, mental, physical.
Well, if we want to make a change, if we want to see progress, like we have to do things differently. So these are habits that you will build over time, but you have to just start like being a little bit more intentional and organized about it. Yeah, I put my things on my joint calendar with Larry so he knows like when I am planning on doing, just having it on the calendar as an appointment. And also I put it in my notes, like my checklist, and each day I'm like, Monday, workout with Allyson, check. Tuesday, whatever that may be, check. When you are kind of checking it off your list, it's like you're being accountable to yourself. And I feel like when you write it down or put it on your calendar, make an appointment with yourself, you're more likely to follow through than if you're just like, okay, maybe tomorrow after I drop, my kid off, maybe I'll head to the gym. But like you don't really make it like a plan. It's like you'll find other things.
Yeah. And the way you say, just like the way you say it to yourself matters too. I'm going to the gym after I drop Susie off at school.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you in your workout clothes? Do you know what you're doing? Like you say it to yourself. I'm going to the gym after. You go to bed, you kiss your spouse goodnight. I'm working out tomorrow morning. I'm going to be up at 6. Love you. Good night.
Yeah.
Say it with confidence, like you're going to, like you've already done it. Or your workout clothes out. I put my workout clothes out every single.
Sometimes I even sleep in my work. Like when I'm gonna, like
if you're working out at home, like who cares?
Yeah.
Go out and get it done.
I literally sometimes just like
got,
sleep.
Like a sports bra on, whatever.
Yeah, and especially if I know I'm working out at home. But it's just, I think it's so important to just like set yourself up for success by doing those little things. You think it's silly to like put your workout clothes and your shoes next to the bed.
You're a 7-year-old. But you should, because there's a reason your 7-year-old does it. They get up, they don't think about it, they put it on and they go to school.
Right.
I literally roll out and it's there. I'm talking like the underwear, the socks, like all of it is there. I don't want to disturb anyone and I'm just going to go and do it.
Yeah.
It was the same thing when I was working, and I would change. I would have my bag packed. I knew what workout I was going to do based on what outfit I was going to wear. Like whatever motivates you and gets you to do that. The biggest thing that came up on the polls with the working out was, it was like very much in my face, was finding the time.
Of course.
And I'm going to get a little harsh here.
I think people need a little tough love sometimes.
And I know that I'm in a different time in my life than a lot of people, our listeners, and you might be too, because maybe they have young kids, maybe their life just looks different, and that's okay. I've had a lot of different phases in my life where fitness has fit in a different way. But you have the time. Okay, we spend a lot of time scrolling. We spend a lot of time meandering around the house, poking at different drawers. We spend a lot of time worrying. We spend a lot of idle time doing things that aren't productive. Yeah. And you have to find the time. And you have to find also, again, what works for you, right? What works for you might not work for your husband, might not work for Joe across the street. And it also might mean you have to sacrifice not doing other things. And that might mean you're not going to happy hours as much with your work coworkers. That might mean that you have to say no to some family events. And I'm not saying everything, but there is going to have to be give and pull, because something's going to have to give. But if this is important to you, and it should be, because if you're not making time for your health now, then you're going to have to make time for your health later. This is something I'm very passionate about, because you have to make time for this, and you have the time. And I'm not talking about you need an hour 7 days a week. You do not. You need 30-minute chunks. Like, I didn't work out this morning. I had a really tough night with my son, but I know that I'm going to find 20 minutes later to get today's core for me. I'm going to find 20 minutes later to get it done. Yes, I scheduled it. Yes, I planned it. It was supposed to be this morning. Sometimes life happens.
Yeah, life always happens.
Life always happens. It's great to have the plan and the prep, but sometimes, a lot of times, shit hits the fan, and that's okay. But the tough love is you have the time. I don't care if you're a shift worker. I don't care if you have one kid. I don't care if you have 6 kids. I've seen people make it work. I know it's possible, and you just got to carve it out. and it's going to suck, and it's going to be hard, and you might lose some friendships. People might not understand what you're doing because it's, it's something you haven't done before. Like, what do you mean you're going to do that?
It's different than you're changing.
You're changing, and people don't like that. But this is for you. This journey is for you and only you to be a better wife, a better mom, a better partner, just an overall better person and feel better. So you got to find the time, whether it's getting up earlier, going to sleep earlier, staying up later, doing it during nap time, doing it during your lunch break. There is time.
And I always feel like if you want something bad enough, like whatever in life, like you find the time. If it's important to you, you will find the time for it. We find time for things we want to find time for.
Yeah.
So if you really want to, make changes when it comes to your health and your fitness and your body, like you have no choice but to find the time. And you, like you said, have the time. I mean, we all lay in bed from time to time and scroll, and we're like, oh, it's been 45 minutes. Like, you could have just done a workout.
Yeah.
Like, to be quite honest.
Absolutely. We're doing that all the time. Put the phone down.
Yeah.
And do something.
And for instance, like Larry, it took me a long time to get him to want to be on this health and fitness path with me. Everybody has to do it in their own time. But I'm so proud of him, some of the things that I see him do, but it's just he has started to prep and plan more. And he goes into work at 3 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't get off work until 4:30 in the afternoon. Some days he takes his gym bag with him.
After that shift.
He gets off of the exit and his gym is right there. So some days he will take his gym bag with him, and he plans to go right to the gym straight from work because he knows a full huge and he's been up since 2:30 in the morning because he knows that if he comes home,
it's not happening.
He's gonna get a shower, he's gonna eat dinner, and he's gonna be tired, and that's it. So while he's still in that mind frame of doing things, he just goes straight to the gym, gets it out of the way, done. But it's you have to. Sometimes, we talked in the last episode, you have to get good at fighting through those, inner intrusive thoughts. I'm too tired. I don't feel like it. You have to just fight through that.
That is what separates, when people sometimes ask me, what do your most successful clients do? And that is where it's at. There's always a time to skip a workout when you are not feeling well.
If you're sick.
When you have, when there are real reasons.
Yes,
but because you're tired and you just don't feel like it, you could have an excuse every day.
Moms are always tired.
When you consistently go to the gym or work out when you're tired and you don't want to, every time you do that, that is just a huge checkbox in your corner. That is just proving to yourself time and time again that you can do hard things.
Yes.
And that should be the hardest part of your day. And you did it. You checked it and you did it anyway. It's such an empowering feeling the more and more that you do that. And it just shows how resilient you are. And you are resilient. Yeah. You're a mom. You're a woman. We've been through so much. You can do this.
And how many times have we said, I'll be I went to the gym today, but my workout sucked.
Yep.
But I still went to the gym and I still did it. I did something's better than nothing, which we like to repeat over and over again because it's true. But it's not every workout you're not gonna be at your highest energy level. When I'm on my period, I'm I don't have the energy today, but it's you're still doing it, and you're not just saying, oh, I'm on my period this week, I'm just not gonna work out because I'm too tired and my body feels bleh. You're still going to do it. You're going to fight through it. And those are when you start to grow and build the habits.
Exactly.
So we talked about finding the time, putting it on your calendar, making an appointment with yourself. So next, let's talk about walking.
Yeah. So we haven't talked about cardio, and that was something that came up on the polls, and people were wondering how much, what kind of other movement should you be doing? Because I constantly talk about strength training, which in my opinion is just supreme. So I think that one of the things that is important to talk about is NEAT, NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So what does that mean? So that's all of the movement you're doing throughout the day. And as moms, we're doing a ton of it. Up and down the stairs, the laundry, the dishes, up walking to and from anywhere you go. So if you can increase that slightly, again, planning to park farther away, planning to take the stairs, planning to walk your child to the bus stop instead of driving them to the bus stop. So increasing your NEAT, your just regular daily movement, is really, really important. And that's going to bring up your step count. And everyone always wants to know, how many steps should you do a day? There's like a lot of 10K was like a number that fit like one study, and then they just came out with it and said everybody should get 10K steps. I think that you should aim for more than you're currently doing.
Okay.
That's what I always say. So if you have a way to track it and you know what you're currently getting, if you're currently getting 6,000 steps a day, then I would say increase it by 1,000. So whatever you're doing, increase it by about 1,000. Because the more movement that you do throughout the day, the better.
So your NEAT, that's all included in your step count for the day. Does that count as...
That's not like your actual walks that you're doing,
right,
or your bikes, or your actual intentional cardio movement. That's just existing.
Okay.
That's just existing. The energy you're burning throughout the day.
And everybody's is different.
And everybody's is different. And you don't need to actually sit and figure that out. But I think you would know if you are doing more than you were doing.
Right.
I think walking is supreme. I think it's supreme for so many reasons. I think it's great for mental health, especially walking outside. I have most of my clients, I instruct them to walk outside. Get out of your head, get out of your space, get out of your house, get out of your office, and just move your body outside. It is also something you can do forever, right? It's running, we can't always do that forever because our knees are this or that, or biking and things are harder on our joints. Walking is something that I think is a habit that you should start now and you should do till you're literally the day you die.
Well, and like we talked about before, like recovering from surgeries after having a baby, sometimes walking is the only thing that the doctor will clear you to do for an extended period of time. And it is very beneficial for your body.
It helps with weight maintenance as well.
Right.
So even if you are not looking to lose or gain and you're just kind of happy where you are, it will keep you there. Now, if you want to walk faster or walk longer, or there are then you can start to increase your metabolic rate, and then you can start to change your metabolism and things like that and burn more calories. I do also think that getting into a zone 2 or zone 3 cardio is good and is really beneficial. Zone 2, it's not just your casual walk, but it is higher and you can still have a conversation. So you're not out of breath, you are doing like pretty good, you're walking with a friend, you're like doing the mall walk.
Kind of like power walking.
Kind of like a power walk. So that is
Get your arms
that is
up.
like it is the mall mom power walk is like zone 2. And that's where we are most of the time when we are essentially thinking about doing cardio. We're walking on the treadmill on an incline, we're pounding a little bit,
So
that's zone 2.
Okay.
Zone 3 is when you actually can't hold a conversation. That's like more of your HIIT type, that's like climbing, that's like a Stairmaster or running. But running a lot of people that are running long distances, they're actually in zone 2 for most of their run, unless they're sprinting.
Okay.
So zone 3 it can be controversial when you get into older age females. There's a lot of different thought processes around it. But I don't really do zone 3. I maybe do that like once or twice a week. And you don't have to necessarily do what I do. But I think the best kind of cardio is walking, whether it's outside or on the treadmill. And I think that you should be doing more than you're currently doing, right? So if you're walking twice a week, then why don't you try walking 3 times a week? If you're walking not at all, do 1 walk a week. Like just introduce it slowly. There is no right. There's no I hate the absolutes. I hate the absolutes all over social media. Like if you just follow this, then you will be golden. Like, just do this. But, it's like 16 things. Like, just do more than walk 1,000 steps more than you're currently walking. Do 1 high-intensity workout where you're out of breath a week. Make it, 10 minutes, right? And I think cardio is really important for heart health. But I think, back to the prep and the plan when you're doing that.
Yeah.
That's the most important part. When are you walking? And if you're going to be like, it's raining, I can't go. It's too cold, I can't go. Okay, well, do you have a treadmill at home? Is there a treadmill at your gym? Do you know it's going to rain tomorrow, but today wasn't a walking day, but now you can already see that it's raining tomorrow? Then walk today.
Right. Switch it.
Plan it, be a little bit flexible, but know that you have to check that box for the walks. And if you're not going to do it, then you're only disappointing yourself.
Yeah.
And obviously, every week is not going to be perfect. It's been really hard right now where we are. It's super cold. But getting out there when you can, it doesn't have to be 45 minutes. Something is better than nothing. A quick 10-minute walk before your kids get off the bus. Money.
I don't know about you, but like sometimes when I get in these like funks where I'm like, I feel like I have so many things to do, like just like I have, my checklist is like a mile long. I'm like, I have to do all these things today. I get sometimes a little paralyzed.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I get overwhelmed. So the other day this was happening to me and I'm like, you know what? It's nice out. It's been our weather here in Baltimore has been very snowy, rainy, cloudy. It was a nice day. It was cold out, but it was sunny out. I was like, you know what? I just need to get outside and take a walk. And like, do you know that like half hour of walking outside, getting some fresh air, getting some sunshine, I came back in the house and I was like, I had more like mental clarity, focus, like energy, and then I was able to be more productive.
Do the checklist.
Because I was just like, my mind was just like, I don't know what was going on. I think I was tired and I was just feeling overwhelmed because I had a lot to do. So just like, walking is just so good for your mental health.
I love that you just said that.
Yeah.
Because I think that mom paralyzation of the to-do list and the endless hamster wheel, I do that all the time. And I think that most people listening to this would probably have done the opposite. I don't have time to walk because this checklist is so big.
Yeah.
And that is also true. Like that, I hear that, and your thought process is correct. But like you're gonna go around and around. You're gonna feel like you're gonna wind up half doing all those chores.
Exactly.
Whereas if you just took a 30-minute walk, good for you. But even if you took a 10, 15-minute walk, you could come back clear-headed and be better. That's the same thing with working out. You don't feel like you have the time because you have so many things to do. But like I'm so much more at peace when I have exercised, whether it's lifting weights or walking, to then really complete a task and be present in that task instead of half doing it because my mind is all over the place. So I love that you chose that, and I love that you're saying that because there's a lot of moms right now that are listening to this that just are like, my to-do list is too long and I'm so overwhelmed. And you want to know what? It is. We started off by saying we make so many decisions all day and it's overwhelming. And it seems counterintuitive to take time away from the to-do list. But I promise you from experience with clients and ourselves that it's the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also, sometimes you have to like talk yourself down and be like, okay, like if I don't get these couple of things done today, like it's not the end of the world. It's just, I feel like sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for whatever reason to get like all these different things done. It's like certain things don't have to happen today. And that's why like I feel like when you make your like to-do list or you plan things, prioritize things as you're writing them down. And for me, usually working out is the number one on my list because that is the most important thing for myself that I want to get done that day. And if I put it at the bottom of the list, there's a chance it could fall off because if you prioritize other things ahead of it. So I feel like that's also important too when prepping and planning is prioritizing things in the order that you want them to happen.
And I think as a mom, you feel bad about putting the workout first. If at first.
Yeah.
You've trained yourself. I'm just coming from a different perspective. Like, if I put that my workout is a priority, we're not used to that as moms. Like, we're used to putting everybody else first. But, it's not selfish. I promise. Like, it's something that we have to plan for and account for and allot time for. But it's pretty spectacular what happens to all of the other things that fall into place with your relationships and your household and everything else when that is, first.
No, absolutely. I think it's super important to prioritize, especially as women, as moms. It's important for us to prioritize ourselves and our health because it just makes us better moms, better, I feel like, just in general. definitely important. So we talked about cardio and the types of cardio. So did you have some questions that you got on social media that you want to answer? Let's do a little like Q&A.
Yeah.
So I see on our list tips for prepping and planning during pregnancy.
Mm-hmm. And this person who asked, I was like very excited about. But I want to do this Q&A because if someone else has a question, I feel like a lot of people would have it. So I think that, I'm not sure if she was saying, should it look different when you're prepping and planning during pregnancy? Or kind of where she was coming from with the question. But I think that it's very similar.
Okay.
Is this your first pregnancy? Is this your fourth pregnancy? But as far as like what should you be eating? Basically the same, maybe a little bit more. But I also think it's important to plan a lot of like freezer meals. Mm-hmm. That's really good for when you're pregnant, when you're coming to the end of your pregnancy. So that way, soon after birth, you have a lot of like frozen meals, and that's easy to do. I mean, basically anything you can cook, you can freeze and reheat nicely. So, planning your workouts accordingly, right? First trimester, second trimester, and third trimester, there's different ways to train. If you were training prior, you can pretty much continue to train all throughout your pregnancy. Sometimes you need to make certain modifications. And I also think that you just really need to listen to your body. The excuses that we were talking about for and making the time definitely looks different from when you're pregnant. If you, obviously if a doctor is advising you any type of rest, then that is crucial. But, if you can't do anything and you're just not feeling it, walk. Just keep your body moving as best as you can. And I would plan and prep the same way. Get your groceries, right? Do everything we just talked about really in the same way. Like, just because you're pregnant,
Well, and I think it's important to also, at least with, obviously when you're pregnant and later on in your pregnancy, you may not be able to do some of the same things workout wise, but I feel like it's important to somewhat keep up with the prepping and planning and the habits because then it makes it easier. Postpartum, you're not like starting from scratch again or having to relearn the habits.
You're used to doing the Instacart orders, you're used to having healthy snacks on hand, which you're going to want a lot of. You're used to drinking a lot of water. Postpartum, you got to drink a ton of water. So all these things are great habits, exactly what you just said, to build all throughout. There's no better time to start, just because life is only going to get crazier.
Or like, don't stop during pregnancy. You don't have to stop everything because you're pregnant.
Exactly.
Because it makes it easier postpartum. So so somebody had asked to share your lunch prep that you make on the regular, but we kind of already touched on that.
We did.
So the next one was, how do you and your husband both find time to work out daily if you don't have a gym at home?
It's a great question, and obviously this will differ. So if you don't have a gym at home, I'm assuming she's asking because they both like to work out, and I'm assuming they have a gym membership since they don't have one at home. And it's how do you both find time to, go to the gym? Well, someone probably has to take morning. Someone probably has to take evening. Weekends might look different. It's really about taking turns and or going together. Like our gym has a kid babysitting.
Yeah, that's so nice.
So that's really nice. I have clients that their husband works from home and he goes on his lunch break. And it's really about communication and planning. So I love that. Are you the morning shift? Are you taking the early morning gym? And then if you are, is he doing the whole morning? Is he doing breakfast and getting the kids ready for school? So you can go and know that that's your time.
Right.
Or vice versa. Are you going right after work and he gets them off the bus and this, that, and the other? What does that look like? Sometimes that means people have to go like late at night and that's not convenient, or you're taking time away from the family. Again, it's not taking time away from the family. It's taking time for yourself. There are other times that you have for the family. Sometimes I will feel like this weekend, like I went in the morning and he took them to basketball, and then we came home and then he went in the afternoon and I hung out with the kids and did some board games, and like, okay, so we're not all together all the time, but they know what mommy and daddy are doing. We're going to the gym, and like that's part of our lifestyle and that's what we do. So I think, I also think that a set of adjustable dumbbells will go a long way.
Yeah.
All you need is a set of adjustable dumbbells. You don't really need much, and you can get a good workout in at home. If that's something that you're really having trouble that you can't get to the gym when he wants it and it just isn't working, then you have that option at home. Then you can do something, maybe not all the time, but you can get a couple workouts in at home and still get to the gym a few days a week.
Yeah, because you can get adjustable dumbbells, and if you don't know what they are, just, look them up. But, we both have the Bowflex ones where they're literally, you don't have like 10 different sets of dumbbells. It's 2 dumbbells, and you can adjust the weight on them. Right. So it's very compact. It doesn't take up a lot of space. You can do all your different, you can do lower body, you can do upper body. So just having them alone, you can get your strength training in at home. And then even if you don't, let's say you have a smaller home, you don't have room for a treadmill or a bike, you can still, go out and take a walk. Right. So like certain days, if you just can't make it work with going to the gym, then you can still have your at-home workouts. But like what me and my husband do, same as you, like sometimes on the weekends, like thankfully he's an early bird, so he will
take that shift.
He will get up, and before like anything is really going on for the day, he'll go to the gym at like 7:30 in the morning. And then usually if we have like basketball or a sport on like Saturday mornings and we're both home together, my husband works every other weekend, so on the weekends when he's off, we try to take advantage of it. So, we'll go to basketball together, and then sometimes we'll drive separately, and I'll go straight to the gym after basketball.
Well, you've planned that. I think that's the biggest thing here is the theme of this episode is the prep and the plan.
Yeah.
Is this a weekend that your husband is working? Is it a weekend that he's home? And what does that look like? Okay, so you're going to go in the morning. I'm going to go separate. All these conversations are important and need to happen. You need to find the time to have the time to prep and plan.
And on the weekends that he's working, I either do my workout at home, or when he gets home in the afternoon, if I really like just want to go to the gym, and I'll go to the gym when he gets home.
But maybe that's a walk day for you. And you're like, you're home, you're on, I need 30 minutes to reset my head.
Or, my son's at the age now where like he sometimes has play dates with friends. And so like if I drop him off at a friend's house, I'll go to the gym.
And that's absolutely perfect. And then you repay the mom, the other family, and then they can take care of something.
But it's just everybody has a different family dynamic. Right. Different. There's single moms that maybe don't have the other partner to help them out, but it's just finding. It's like we said before, what can you do? So if it's just not easy for you to get out to go to the gym, then maybe invest in some at-home equipment and do your workouts at home on the weekends.
And that's where you are at this chapter, and it's not always you yearn to go to a gym and you love that experience. It's not that it's never going to happen for you. You just have to take where you are right now and what's realistic and going to fit into your lifestyle now.
Or find a gym like yours that has childcare, which mine doesn't have that. Right. That's amazing.
Yes, we've been using that since they were 6 weeks old, and they're used to going, and it's just like, do they love it now that they're older? Not really, but
it's cute though. It has
it's an hour, but that's what they do.
Basketball court, sliding board. Kids can run around for 45 minutes to an hour. They're fine. So next thing, what to prep for parents and kids so you're not buying a million things.
That's a good question as well. I think sometimes you do have to buy separate things, like as far as you need to have their snacks on hand. Maybe it's not the same as your snacks. But I have always been a big believer in feeding my kids what we eat. And whether it's deconstructed or looks a little different or things are separated and mine's all mushed together. So we've started that from a very young age. Will they eat all of it? No. Sometimes I do make them chicken nuggets when we're having something else. Right. Of course, this is life. I love having frozen options, just meatballs, and we have some turkey dogs and things like that, or some pasta for them. But you don't need to buy a million things, and groceries are super expensive right now. But I feed my kids scrambled eggs. I feed my kids a lot of protein and veggies, and we eat a lot of fresh fruit. And the snacks, the healthy high protein snacks, whether you're making muffins or little protein balls or power balls, those are great for them to eat also. Do we have goldfish and, crackers and stuff in our house? Absolutely. But I do think that when you're prepping and planning, that's part of it, right? Are the kids going to eat this meal? Are we choosing to give it to them anyway? And what does that look like? Or is this a night that we know they really won't eat it, and this will be a chicken nugget night? And that's okay too. But I don't think that we need to be buying whole separate grocery items. For,
you can definitely intertwine, your things with their things. But I mean, I will say it sounds like, some people may argue that like, oh my gosh, this just sounds like so expensive. Like groceries are so expensive.
Yes.
But I can guarantee you that prepping and planning and buying your groceries is cheaper.
Ordering out.
It's cheaper than
Chick-fil-A 4 times a week.
Exactly. It gets expensive. You think that like, oh, I'm only spending $20 here. Like you look at it on a weekly basis. I guarantee you, if you're door dashing or getting Chick-fil-A every night, like it's gonna be more expensive than if you just plan out your meals for the week.
Yeah, like something as simple as like tacos. Like maybe my kids don't like all the ingredients, but they will pick and choose some, and I'll make it how I want to make it. So things that you can sort of, pick and choose. Maybe I'm making like salmon and vegetables and rice, and they're not going to eat the salmon, so like they'll eat the vegetables and rice, and maybe I put a couple of chicken nuggets in the oven. So like they're eating, they see me eating salmon, maybe I'll put a couple pieces on their plate, knowing they won't touch it, they'll push it around. I'm not going to tell you how to like feed your kids or not feed your kids, but I do think that exposing them to a lot of things and showing them what you're eating and healthy choices is always good. We are not a family that says no to anything. I don't not give my kids a dessert and things like that, but I don't think you need to buy a million things. I think that if you find yourself doing that, you should really just like take a step back and be like, how can we start to incorporate more of what we eat to their plates?
Exactly. No, I think that's great. And also just like making meals, like we said before, that maybe will stretch a little bit. So if you're making tacos, like, and you have leftovers, you can, make that for lunch the next day.
Yep. Or use that meat in, pasta and meat sauce or something. Like there's a different ways to sort of move things around a bit.
Absolutely. So then the last question that you had gotten was, how can women adjust their plan for workouts and meal prep according to their cycles? Which I love this one because I definitely feel like that's a thing.
It's a thing. And you will get a lot of social media and influencers talking about all the different cycles of your menstrual cycle, and how to eat according to your cycle and leading up to your cycle, and how to adjust for each separate, and how to adjust your workouts, and it's a lot. And I have a lot of thoughts and feelings around that. Sometimes we get really bad PMS like right before our period. Sometimes it's really bad during our period. Sometimes a little bit after, as it's still hanging on, you're still feeling a lot of bloat and feeling yucky. I don't, like, people will seed cycle, people will like totally adjust their diets. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Okay, when I have a workout plan, I'm not being like, what week are you on? Okay,
right.
Like I'm not, like that to me, like if you are really being crampy and really bloated and really feel gross, then you can skip your workout and just take a walk. But here's the thing. If you're going to take the week of your period off and just be lazy, and some people will just be like, oh, whatever, like I'm already bloated, like I'm just going to, it's fine. Okay, so that's 1 week a month. That's 12 weeks out of the year. That's 3 months out of the year that you just spent saying, I don't give a F. That's a lot of time that you spent, and your goals will reflect that. What you wanted will not happen.
Right.
It's okay to take a day or two a month to kind of just like eat an extra cookie, have some ice cream.
Or like you said, if you're like really some people do have like really bad period cramps like the first couple days of their period, but on those days, okay, maybe don't go to the gym and like lift heavy, maybe just go out for some walks, because I feel like still like trying to move your body is gonna help.
I think there are still things that are, when I have a period or whatever, you kind of feel out of control, like your body almost is like, look, like I looked fine yesterday, I looked disgusting. So you just want to kind of say F it, and you are allowed to enjoy and do what you want, but again, take a walk. What can you do? You can still drink your water.
Exactly.
You're still getting your protein. That doesn't affect, and like I tell myself consistently, like, this is temporary.
Exactly.
You go through this every month, and you will not look like this a week from now.
No.
Like, you won't feel like this. And I do not think you need to adjust your eating. I don't think you need to adjust your workouts. Some people feel really strong and really powerful when they have their period and love to lift heavy. That is not me. But use it. I cannot tell you, like people are like, this is the end all be all. When you're in your luteal phase, this is how you should eat. You should train this way. Do more HIIT during this type of,
because everybody's different.
Well, everybody's different, and I think it's really important to listen to your body. I will say, if your periods are really bad and it is debilitating, and I've been there, you need to get your hormones checked. And that's all I'm really going to say. You need to get some lab work, and you need to really find out, because we should not be suffering like that. It is 2025, and there are so many things to do, and I'm not even going to get into them and what they are, to help yourself. And I'm not just talking about hormonal birth control. In fact, I'm definitely not talking about that. There's a lot of other things that you can do, so you don't have to really suffer terribly. Obviously some bloating, and you're going to bleed, and you're going to have some cravings, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to, like, eat a little bit higher calories for a couple days out of the month.
But just don't, like, throw in the towel for the entire week just because you're on your period. Yeah. Like, if you really, truly don't feel well, or you need a day to just, like, relax, maybe just take a walk and chill out a little bit, fine. But don't just say, this week I'm on my period, so I'm just not gonna. Again, it's getting back into, I think, making excuses and, like, not. Sometimes we do have to push ourselves a little bit.
Yes, and knowing when to do that. Yeah. You know, not for a full week on your period.
Yeah.
For those 24, 48 hours where it's kind of cruddy, okay. But that's 24, 48 hours is very different than 5 to 7 days of you being, like, whatever. And I would still prep and plan your week, like, knowing, like, this is my period week coming up. I would still prep and plan it the same way you would. Order your groceries, prep your food, your water, put in your workouts. If that particular day is when you just feel like garbage, then maybe you can, like, swap that. And that's not a leg day, that's a walk day or something like that. Or that's a rest day and it wasn't planned, and that week is a little bit off. But I would still, like, get the mentality of prepping and planning in the same way you plan the other 3 weeks of the month.
And also, like, something I have learned to do is, like, I know, like, the first 2 days of my period, like, my energy is definitely takes a little bit of a dip. I just try to, like, eat a little bit better those days to, like, kind of boost my energy as much as possible, because I don't just not go to the gym or skip my workouts because I'm on my period. But I've even been at your house before where I'm like, oh, I just started my period. Like, I can feel like my energy level has dropped off a little bit. So on those days, I do try to, like, eat a little bit better to boost my energy, and just whatever I can do to kind of help myself. But, like, I choose not to, like, really change anything. I just kind of go about my day, like, you know, business as usual. But it's just, you know, you're not always going to get the best workout. You're not always going to have as much energy, but it is what it is. You can't just stop everything. I mean, I know some people have really horrible periods. I used to have really bad periods when I was, like, in my teens and my 20s, that it was a little debilitating at times, and that's a different category. But I feel like in general, you know, your energy is going to drop off a little bit sometimes, but it's just do what you can. If you don't get the best workout in, you still did it.
And you know you didn't get the best workout because you didn't get a great night's sleep, or because you have your period, or because your kid was up all night, and that's okay. But, like, again, you did it anyway. Like, I worked out when I had my period. I worked out when my husband was coughing in my ear all night. I worked out. Like, you did it. Like, though, that kind of, like, I did it, and confidence is, I think, what builds the habit, what builds the routine, and what separates you from the way you want to look to the way that you do look. Like, that's how you get there, is by pushing through the hard. And by pushing through the hard, how do you do that? Is the prep and the plan.
Yeah. And I think that kind of, like, sums it up. It's thanking your future self.
Absolutely.
Because, like I've said before, you have to plan for the things that you want to change and accomplish, and the person that you want to be. So it's setting yourself up for success, and just taking the time to do the prep, do the planning, and, you know, whatever you can do to achieve that. Like, it's going to look different for everybody, but, like, just figuring out what works, and, you know, building those habits over time, and you're really just going to be able to stay more consistent with your eating and your workouts over
just start
time.
Small, and just, like you said, envision what you hope to feel like, what you hope to look like, what, you know, who you want to be, and take those steps slowly to get there, and don't make excuses.
Yeah, and just being accountable and kind of recognizing, like, what are the things that I'm doing now, and like, what do I need to change to achieve my goals. And I definitely feel like this is key with when you're starting or just to improve upon your fitness and health.
I think it's for beginners, in the middles, and the people, like, because I'm always looking for ways to still improve my habits and plan better and prep better. Like, I still have things in my routine that I'm adding constantly, and I'm able to do that because I've done it before, and I can find, just keep habit stacking. So you can keep adding more. You start slow, and then you keep adding more prep and plan into your life.
Well, thank you so much, because this is like such like amazing information, and like just having access to somebody like you who is just, you are so knowledgeable about health and fitness. And so I really hope that this episode helped you in the goals that you're trying to achieve. And you can always reach out to Allyson on Instagram at Strong by Siegel. And you have online programming and
online workout program and accountability and coaching. Sort of similar to like how this looks, but very custom and individualized to each person. But also, like, my DMs are always open. People are constantly just asking me questions, and if you have anything related to what we talked about or a specific question like for yourself, want me to get into more detail, like, that's totally cool too.
This is the Fit as Fuck series, and each episode are going to come with kind of a new little tidbit or area that we want to talk specifically about, and we will always have some Q&A. So if you have any specific questions that you want Allyson to answer, definitely reach out to her, and we will try to include them in future episodes. And so
thanks for having me again. This was awesome.
Of course, yes.
I'll be back.
Yeah, I can't get rid of her, so. But thank you so much, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Show me some love by sharing this episode, and be the first to know when new episodes drop by following the show wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube and follow me on social media at Mommy You Said the F Word.